All right, we're speaking to Timothy Tia and Audrey Uy, husband and wife team who co-founded Colony Co-working Space. They're also parents to two children, Jude, who's 7, and Penny, who is 5. Now, today on Growing Pains, we're going to talk about how to deal with criticism when it comes to parenting. Right now, let's get straight to it. Like, Tim, can you tell us what happened to you and your son recently, which actually prompted some criticism about the way you parent from your followers on social media?
Oh, okay. Um, so I think it was a few days ago when I told him that I wanted to give away my desktop or to an orphanage, right? So that they can do Zoom classes and everything. And this is an old desktop. We only use it maybe once every 2 weeks or something. And
Yeah, can you off your WhatsApp notification?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Sorry. Okay. So
Hey, no, yeah.
you want me to restart from start from
No,
beginning?
just from the desktop. Yeah. You
Yeah.
don't use the desktop. Yeah.
Okay, so it's a desktop that we don't really use. And we use it just to play a game. He plays one particular game on it, once every 2 weeks, right? And so I told him I'm going to give it away, right? And he got really, really upset because just a couple of weeks before that, I told him that I might change my phone from a Note, which he likes to draw on, to an iPhone, right? And he said, why I like to draw on it, why are you giving it away? And I said I need to change it for work because I needed to test some apps and all that. So I think this was built on that, that I'm now giving away my computer, and he was quite upset, So he went as far as, we went into a huge shouting ramble, and what I did catch in the rambles that he said I hate you, so that was quite painful. I've always thought that I will have to deal with my kids saying that to me one day, but I always thought it would be in the teenage years, not 7 years old. So, but my natural reaction wasn't to get upset or that. It's just, I normally, whenever he goes into this emotional anger thing, I normally try to hug him, so until he kind of calms down. But as I walked to him closer, he started like kicking me away and all that, right? So I thought, okay, he wants to be left alone. So I kind of just backed off. And then I went and do my own things,
Okay.
About half an hour to an hour later, I came back, and then I just talked to him. He had really calmed down by then. And then I asked him like, okay, you sound really upset, right? And he said, yes, I'm really upset, because you're giving away this, I want you to only give away one, either the phone or the desktop, And I said, why are you upset? Did I do something bad? And he said, yes, because you're giving away these things that I still use and I still want to use. And then I said, okay, I want to give it, I need to change my phone because for work, so I can earn money for the family, right? So is me earning money for the family more important than you occasionally drawing sketches on my phone, right? And then he said, okay, then I don't want you to give away the computer. Then I said, okay, but is you playing this game once every 2 weeks or something more important than kids in an orphanage using it for Zoom classes every day? And then he said, yeah, that is the kids, So then I asked him, I didn't ask him like, okay, if that's the case, then why do you feel upset?
Yeah.
And then after that he then I can't remember exactly what he responded to that, but then after I went on and I said, do you feel how do you feel? Do you feel blue or red? So we use blue to signify like sadness and red for anger. He said he feels blue, and I said I feel blue too because you said you hate me. How would you feel if I said those words to you? And then he just like cried, and then he said I'm sorry, and then he hugged me.
Okay, but what was the criticism that came forward? Like why were people criticizing you for what you did with your son?
Oh, I think it was not people. I think most people are very supportive of it actually. just this one person that I happen to share. And I think she was saying that I should be putting, I shouldn't be trying to ask questions and let him come to his own conclusion. I should be telling him as an adult what he should be, what is right and what is wrong.
Because her argument is that kids don't know right and wrong, so we have to tell them.
I see.
Yeah. And that's the way I was brought up. I was brought up like, oh, you shouldn't do this. This is wrong. You shouldn't say this.
We were all brought up that way, I think. Yeah. That was the traditional parenting style.
Yeah. I think if I said like, oh, I hate you, or even if I shout at my parents, I'll be met with, I'll be, the response will be immediate.
Yeah.
Anger.
Slap.
But why? Because you were brought up that way, was that why you didn't think that this was a good way to react to your child?
Not really, to be honest. I think that, okay, I mean, when I first became a dad, I've always kind of like looked at the way I was brought up as an example of how I think we should do things, and I think that happens to all of us. But I think that over time, as a person, right, I've learned to manage things a bit differently. So even as an entrepreneur, like in my 20s, when I first started, like in Nothing days and all that, I would also be more, I'll be more, how do you say, impatient. I would show anger more. I would shout more and all that, But and I would tell, if I do a one-on-one with someone in the team, I'll tell them, oh, this is how you should feel, or how you shouldn't feel, or should feel happy about this and all that. This kind of stuff, But over time, I learned that doesn't work. I learned that it really, really pays off if you're a lot more patient and listen to people, and then try to coach them into into being better rather than.
So you've learned to be like a good leader, and a good leader is what's needed in parenting as well, I think.
Yeah. I mean, like all things, right? If you tell somebody something, chances of them really believing it with conviction is very low. But especially if you do it in the midst of anger, right? But if you spend time, coaching somebody, having a conversation with somebody, and that person comes to their own realization, then it sticks. It's a lot more powerful.
Right. So this person who criticized you felt like you were being too soft in a way?
She didn't use the word soft, but I think she said like, I just need to...
She used...
Stand your ground, sort of, right? Yeah.
Yeah, she saw at me, right?
But I mean, Audrey, you obviously agreed with how your husband dealt with this situation, but would you have done it differently if Jude said those words to you instead?
I think, yeah, I definitely agree with him. But I also think that he has a lot more patience with the kids than I do.
It never used to be like that. I used to be like very, very hot-tempered in my earlier years. Yeah.
So what changed there? I mean, like, because you felt it wasn't working?
I think like, it comes down to childhood, right? So I started, I read a lot of books after I left my previous company, before I started Colony, and then I started self-reflecting, and I actually learned that in the past I was very, very insecure of myself, like most of my years. I've always, in school, or even when I came out to work and did business, I always feel the need to prove to someone that I was somebody, or I was capable, and that manifests itself in different ways. And one of the ways is that, exerting like force by anger, or try to push a point over is one of the ways that I think it manifests itself in. And once I became comfortable with myself to not be so insecure, then that need kind of faded away. Not just that, but even the need to buy anything material, like, so I mean, I think that brought about a little change, and I think that helped me become a better dad, definitely a better husband, and so yeah.
So Audrey, earlier you said that you probably don't have as much patience as Tim. So if that were to happen to you, you probably would have reprimanded him then.
Yeah, and then I would have felt bad about it. But at the same time, Jude is he's also normally a very, very easy child. He's very easy he's quite well behaved most of the time. I don't think I would have been. I think I would be very upset, and I don't know whether I might have said something. I might have snapped back or something. But at the same time, because he's like, I know that he's very well behaved, and most of the time he's also very sensitive. So because of that, I think I probably would have held back a bit more. But I really don't know if I would have been so patient as him to like talk him through it. So I'm very proud of him for that.
What are your parenting styles actually? Like, who's the good cop, who's the bad cop here, and how different do you both parent? Is there a difference?
No, actually, my Tim's brother actually, who has 4 kids and is older than us, he told us before that you cannot have good cop and bad cop when you're parenting, because when that happens, children learn to manipulate you guys, against each other. I think I took that to heart, and this was early on, like many years ago, and we actually don't have a good cop bad cop thing. Although I'm the fiercer parent, I'm the one who scolds them. Tim doesn't really scold them that. And our parenting styles are actually very similar. We are very lucky that we are aligned, because I think that's not the case for a lot of couples. So we are very aligned in the fact that I think we share a lot of the same beliefs in how we parent, and our parenting is not very typical Asian. I think the way we view things and the way we treat them.
Okay, because I mean, you are a parenting influencer, and you have a lot of followers on your social media. I'm sure you've also received your fair share of criticism when it comes to the way you parent as well, Tell us about some of the more hurtful criticisms that you've received from just random strangers.
Okay, so the first one wasn't really due to anything I did in terms of parenting, but this was when Jude was just born. So Jude was born premature at 31 weeks because I had preeclampsia, and so he was born very small, and then he was in an ICU for 5 weeks. So at that point, we were documenting everything on social media, like the birth, and then how he was doing in the ICU, and posted some photos of him inside the incubator. And I got it wasn't criticism, but there were people saying that
you shouldn't have done that, is it?
Rumors that I had taken drugs. That's why my baby came out early, and that he should be euthanized.
Oh my God.
Yeah, what?
It was horrible. It was very horrible. So it wasn't like criticism on the part. It was just a lot of hate, and we do face a lot of judgment, and not just criticism. We get a lot of judgment from this, because we are very open with how we take care of our kids, how we raise our kids. So that was the first incident. The second incident was actually maybe 2 years ago. So 2 years ago, there was one time when all of us fell sick. I think Jude had the flu, Penny had hand, foot, and mouth disease, and then I think from the stress, I developed shingles.
Wow.
So it came all around the same time, and then but we all recovered. So I think so Penny got hand, foot, and mouth disease, so she couldn't eat anything. She didn't even ice cream. She refused ice cream. She wasn't drinking water and anything. So to cheer her up, I brought her out to a toy shop to pick out a toy for her. And right immediately after that, I had to hospitalize her, but that's another story. So I brought her out, and then I posted about it. So Penny was strapped in her stroller. She didn't touch anything, or I was quite careful that she didn't touch any of the toys or anything like that. But because I posted about it, I got a lot of criticism for saying that, I shouldn't have brought my sick child out to a toy store where she could potentially touch things, and other kids might come along and then catch the virus from her. So I did get a lot of hate and judgment for that. And then after that, like, you got the flu, and then I got shingles, but then we all recovered. So Penny had a ballet recital, had a ballet concert. So we went for it, and then I posted, and I just jokingly captioned it like, shingles, flu, and HFMD ain't gonna stop us. meaning that we've already recovered and
Yeah.
we're okay. But a lot of people who didn't know the context, and a lot of them happen to be from Singapore. I think they weren't really my regular followers, so they went crazy with it lah. They would say, "Oh, she has flu, she has shingles, she has hand, foot, and mouth disease, and she's going out to a ballet concert." And they were like, "Oh yeah, shingles is so bad, but shingles is not even.
It's not contagious, is it?
So the whole big hoo-ha on like the mommy forums, the parenting forums, people were sharing my posts and all that lah.
Oh, wow. Must been tough, right? I mean, but how do you deal with these hurtful judgments and comments about you not being a good parent, How do you not let it get to you?
I think that whatever you do, because there's no one right way to parent. There are many different kinds of way to be a good parent, to be a good mom. It's just doing what you think is best for your children. So I think that you can't take this kinds of criticism seriously. And it also helps that these people, I don't know who these people are. So it doesn't matter to me what their opinion is. But, if it's like family, then of course, yeah, it will hurt a lot more if it's coming from family or friends. But yeah, it helps that I really don't know these people. These are just strangers to me.
But psychologically, don't you have to prepare yourself? I mean, like if you're going to be very open about how you raise your kids on social media, especially, that psychologically you have to prepare yourself for really bad
Nasty
criticism
comments.
sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think because I'm very confident that I'm doing the best that I can to raise our kids, and I feel like it's working. The things we do, how we talk to them, that I cannot say for sure, but they look good, and I feel that they're maturing well. So I have that, I have that on my side, that I know that I'm doing a good job with them. And these people, most of the time when they criticize, they don't even know the background to it.
Yeah.
Or they don't know the full context of what's happening and why we do what we do. And so that it makes it a lot easier to disregard their whatever they say.
How about for you, Tim? Like when you see your wife going through all these criticisms and all that, because I mean, you've had one lady criticize the way that you parent, but Audrey has had tons more. Like, how do you feel about it, and how do you help her deal with it?
Well, I think that over the years, we've been quite active on social media over the years. So I think that we've gotten quite used to criticism. Now, getting criticism for your parenting is a bit different because it's very personal, right? Everybody strives to be a good parent. And yeah, I think there, especially in parenting, there's just so much pressure on people telling you how you should do things.
Yeah.
Whether it's our own parents or in-laws or an auntie somewhere, and everyone's always telling us what to do. And it's very easy to get lost in that. It's very easy to let that kind of like rattle you, but I think if you come to a point where you really think that, okay, this is what I think is right, what I think is, and nobody has can claim that they're the best parent.
Yeah.
We're all still trying to be good parents along the way, and there's still days that we kind of like sit down and sigh and like, okay, I think, what am I doing wrong here, or how do I miss this? So I think just understanding that it's a journey anyway. It doesn't hurt so much, because if it's a journey and people give us bad criticism, we ask ourselves, okay, is this valid or is it not valid? If it's valid, maybe I should make the change, right?
Yeah.
So like in the case of this person, is it valid? No, I can understand what she's saying, because that's how I was brought up. And I don't think I turned out too badly. I mean, I turned out okay, right? So maybe that works, right? But how do I want my kids to be, right? So that's a different thing altogether, and that's why even after weighing both approaches, I decided to go for our way.
So you basically, in a way, brushed it off, but took what you could from the lessons from whatever this person said. But how long do you let it bother you, though? I mean, you will get bothered.
Yeah. Okay, so again, this is a different change in me. Like, in the past, I used to be very defensive if people say this kind of thing. Again, stemming from my insecurity in the past, right? But now, it doesn't really bother me. I just really like look at it and then I just, okay, is this right or is it wrong? This person I kind of like hit back a little bit. Not because of the advice that she was giving, it's because she's just outright rude lah. You know, she's open to saying, oh, that's some effed up parenting, right? And
then she was very personal. She was like, oh, you should be ashamed of yourself and all that kind of thing. Like very unnecessarily aggressive.
Okay. Yeah. But does it sometimes, but do these negative criticisms sometimes make you question your own parenting decisions sometimes?
I think my initial reaction is actually I get defensive. Yeah, but I think different criticisms come from different places. So if it's people on social media, people that we don't know, their criticisms come based on what they see us post. Yeah. So sometimes it can be it may not be very specific, but if it's coming from like our parents or like close family members, then yeah, it's usually due to like specific incidents that they know about. And those are like those criticisms from social media don't really get to me that much, because I always know that they don't have the context. But if it comes from family members, then it is a little bit it is a bit more hurtful, and those are the ones that make me doubt, oh, am I doing the right thing? Yeah.
So you will question only if it comes from like a family member or some close friends and whatnot, and you feel like maybe I have done something wrong. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
do you? Yeah. Go ahead, Tim.
A lot of to be honest, like what we post on social media isn't even really all of it. I think like people would judge some of our other decisions also. The way we raise our kids that may not appear on social media. So okay, so I'll give you an example, right? I'll give you an example. When we at home, okay, so me and Audrey always, since we're a couple and everything, we tend to curse quite a bit between ourselves. So the S word and the F word, right?
Yeah.
And you know, with kids we were like, okay, you know, should we stop doing it? You know, but we still do today. And instead of like hiding it from them, we kind of tell them what these words are, and why is it that it sounds it's not great when adults say it, but it sounds really bad when kids say it. They'll say it's okay to say it when you're an adult, right? And so they know what is words, but they never say it, right? Because we think that's, we want to prepare them for the world rather than hide the world from them, right? So already actually they, you know, writer comes back and tells me that in school so and so are already saying these words and all that, right? So, you know, but they don't, they never say it out of spite, out of what, you know, no matter how angry, they never say it.
Yeah, so I think the way we do it is that we don't try to hide information from them or knowledge from them. It's just that we do teach them about it, but then even though they're not necessarily good, but we also give them the boundaries, you know, to know, with this knowledge in hand, we give them the boundaries. We teach them that there are these things around, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to do it. But we don't try to hide it and say that, oh, you know, this doesn't exist.
Yeah. When you make it, I remember someone telling me like, oh, let them try whatever they want. For example, if they want like this very sugary cereal, right? He's like, just let them try it and not keep it away from them, because otherwise then they'll feel like that is the holy grail. I have to get it, you know, that kind of thing. Then they'll just go get it by hook or by crook.
And when we another one would be an example of another one would be when we first started being parents, right? One thing we told ourselves, and we heard from outside, and we agreed with it at the point in time, right, was that we shouldn't fight in front of our kids. You know, and but over time after that we don't fight much. Quite rarely do we fight, but over time we're like, okay, you know, we should fight in front of our kids to show them that, look, even within family we fight, but what's important is that we fight and it's not the end, but we come back together. So whenever they fight, Python and Penny fight, we at least tell them like, oh, look, see, mommy and daddy fight all the time, but we come back together. That doesn't mean you can't come back together. You guys still have to come back and talk. See, so it's it's things like that that I think like many people may not agree with. I think that if we're open about it, I think some people would, but some people it's not culturally
accepted. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're basically teaching them conflict and resolution early on, and also language skills. Let's just put it that way.
But do you think mothers get scrutinized more than fathers when it comes to parenting? Maybe we'll start with you, Audrey. Do you think mothers get criticized and scrutinized more when it comes to parenting?
Yeah, definitely. Because moms are still seen as the one responsible for the household, even though they might have full-time jobs and they might be working, as much as the dad. But yeah, I do feel that like the general idea is that women are the
Caregivers.
the caregivers, and so the one ultimately responsible. I feel it.
How about you, Tim? Do you think that's still the case in this day and age? Yeah.
I definitely agree with that. I think there's a lot more pressure on moms, and not just that. Like moms are a lot harder on other moms. Dads don't really judge other dads for our parenting skills so much.
That's true. That's true.
But, the thing is like if a mom changes a diaper, it's like it's expected. That's her job. That's what she's supposed to do. If a dad changes her diaper, they're like, wow, dad.
That's true, actually.
that applies to criticism, I think.
Yeah. Like when my husband brings the two kids out to for grocery shopping, they're like, "Oh, you're alone with the kids, ah? Oh, we're very, very good, ah." But like when I go out alone with the kids, it's like, "Oh, okay, it's expected."
Normal, it's
Yeah.
normal.
Now, in your opinion, though, is there a right way to give other parents constructive criticism, or should we just
Keep
stay
quiet.
out of it?
Yeah.
Actually, I would stay out of it because, like what Tim mentioned earlier, parenting is very, very personal. Like when you are raising a child, you put your everything into it, and it also your worldview is in it, your life philosophies, your values, your principles, everything goes into it when you're parenting and when you're teaching children. So yeah, I would stay out of it unless it's something that like I cannot not say anything. For example, if it's something dangerous, then
abuse.
Sorry?
Like abuse, is it?
Yeah. Like me. I mean, if it's something that is endangering the child, then I might say something, but I wouldn't say, "Oh, you should do this." But maybe, I guess, a less offensive way would just to be say would just I would just relate my own experiences in regards to that. Like this is how I did it, but not telling them
What they should do. Yeah.
So the first thing that a parent should not do is, are you sure that's how you should be raising your kids? That's not the right thing to say, right?
I feel like I've gotten a lot of messages that start with that.
Really? Is it?
Oh my goodness.
Are you sure that's how you're gonna do it? Oh my goodness.
How about you, Tim? Yeah. How about you, Tim? Do you think we should, like as parents, should we give constructive criticism? Because that's what they always say, right? It's a constructive criticism. It's to help you parent better. Should we actually give these constructive criticism to other parents?
Yeah. So and I apply this to not just parenting criticism, but to any criticism, right? So the thing is that to be very honest, like when me and Audrey, when we go out all the time, we see parents, there's some things that we see that don't really align with our styles, and if I'm very honest, I think occasionally we do judge, but we keep it to ourselves.
Yeah.
We keep it to ourselves, and we have never so far ever told anyone, even our friends, oh, maybe you shouldn't be doing something, you should be doing this. And the reason for that is because we accept that we don't have context right? We don't really know. Seeing a child for 10 minutes is not enough to gauge, right, whether this is the right way to respond to a child being like this. When the mom deals with him every day, day in, day out, right? Context is very important. And even if we do, if the mom starts like talking about parenting, then we don't say things like, oh, you should, or you should do that. Normally I would just say like, oh, here's what I do in a situation like this. So it's not judgmental. It's not really advice or criticism. It's more like an experience sharing, and people can pick it up from themselves, and that's more effective anyway, right, than criticism.
Yeah. But what advice would you give to those parents who are really badly affected by criticism? Even though they're not social media influencers or whatever, but they get criticism from random strangers or maybe their in-laws or their parents, and they get really badly affected by it and question their own parenting style.
Wow, it's hard to tell people that because people also have different levels of sensitivity.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's hard to say, oh, don't get affected by it. But I guess I'll tell them, everybody, really everyone in the world, no matter who you are, I think gets it. If you are like if you're in a community, and if you have family around you or friends, you definitely, there will be some day where somebody will say something and it'll get to you. But as long as you are sure what you're doing, then try not to dwell on it too much. I just take it and then think whether it's really constructive, whether it's really useful criticism, and if it's not, then just discard it and move on. You yourself know your child best.
Tip?
For me, I think it's just, it's just the most important thing is that our kids know that we love them, right? And how we convey that in different ways is important. It has to be in a way in which they understand, right? It has to be in love language, and beyond that, all the little details and all that, I think it can differ. And at worst case, right? So I like to read a lot of biographies. So I've read, let's say, some of the most successful men or women in history, right? And Warren Buffett, for example, had a mom that was quite challenging. Like she would kind of like pick on his sister quite a bit, and break a lot of typical parenting rules. Rockefeller's dad was just never around, and but still, as they grew up as kids, not only did they become successful, but they didn't become whatever their parents were, and they actually became the better versions of themselves as parents, right? So it's not a be it and all. It's not like, oh, okay, you're doing it wrong, you're going to screw everything up and that's it. It's at worst case, it can still be okay, but we just need to be able to show that we love them and that we care for them.
And you tried, right? The most important thing is that you tried to be a good parent, right?
Yeah. And so, my parents, for example, they raised me in a more traditional way. And I think, some of that may have led to my insecurities in later on life, but it's never been a doubt that they love me, and they parented me the way they believe was the best, right? And that's why I'm still like very, very close to them and everything. I don't blame them for, oh, I have this. I recognize that, some of this insecurities that I had in the past was from my upbringing, but I don't blame them for it. I know that they've done the best out of love for them, and they were great parents.
Yeah. But then, when I became a parent, I remember I felt like, oh my goodness, every single decision that I make might change their path in life, so it is a huge responsibility. And when you're a new parent, especially, and if anyone were to come to you and say, oh, you should do this, you should have done that, you should not do this, it really shakes your confidence as a parent, I think.
I remember crying a lot when they were babies. Whenever said something to me.
What is it? Sorry?
Whenever somebody said something to me, especially when they were babies, very young, like newborn, and I think I was probably very hormonal after confinement and everything.
Yeah.
So whenever somebody said something, I remember crying a lot. after that.
Yeah, but I mean, you've grown in confidence, so you learn to deal with it as well. Yeah. So what would you say to others then who always have something to comment on about other people's way of life and choice of parenting style?
I feel like I'm going to say something rude, but you
Go ahead, we can bleep it out.
Go, yes.
I mean, okay, so there's this book called 48 Laws of Power, right? And one of the laws is I can't remember the exact word for it, but it's basically never criticize, because there's nothing to be gained from criticizing, right? You may offend someone, right? But even if you don't offend someone, it's quite unlikely this person will be grateful for your criticism. So why do it in the first place? It's a lose-lose game.
Yeah.
You know, and but often we do it. Again, it comes back to you know, a sense of superiority or a sense of insecurity that we need to portray in a superiority complex. So yeah, but you know, if we can, then don't. You know, right now I mean, I try not to criticize. We can't help it. We judge mentally.
Yeah.
We really judge already, right? But
Yep.
keep it to ourselves. So if I judge, I'll talk to Audrey about it, and okay, that's it. You know, we keep it to ourselves. We won't post about it. We won't talk to anyone else about it. Beyond our very close friends or something. You know.
Yeah. Okay.
Would you, in your social media, would you like be able to, if you could, like, would you turn off all the comments and everything and then just ignorance is bliss kind of way?
No, not really, because I mean, a lot of the comments are all very positive comments, so they're very nice. Yeah, I mean, I think 99%. In fact, for let's say that post, I only got one bad comment, but I got like 100 good ones. DM me and like, oh yeah, you know, I totally agree with this. This is how I want to parent. I grew up the other way, like you as well, you know, and that's not how I want to be now. You know, I got a lot of these things. Some is quite interesting. Some also, they said that, yeah, you know, they wish they were brought up this way, because the way they brought up, the Chinaman way, had led them to hide their feelings,
Right.
and afraid to express their feelings to their parents. It built resentment with their parents. Some of them went through depression because of that. You know, it's a lot of different things. So yeah, you know, I mean, look, we can't, like you say, ignorance is bliss, right? Like, it's good not to know that. It's sometimes good to not know, and we feel happy that way, in an ignorant kind of way. But it doesn't mean people aren't talking.
Yeah.
And people are always talking. But they are, on the flip side, even if people are talking, you know, we're only as good as a 5-minute water cooler chat, and that's it in people's lives, and that's it. After that, people forget it and they move on.
Yeah.
Right. So actually, it really doesn't really matter what people say in the spur of the moment. Even if it goes viral in news, and turns out all the news sites and something like that, you know, it now it plays out for maybe like a day or two, and then that's it. Everyone forgets about it.
Yeah, that's true. Even if it's viral, people forget it in like a few weeks. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, does anybody remembers this the steering lock auntie?
Oh my God.
I mean, like, you know, a couple of years ago, right? But
yeah.
Who even remembers that now?
Oh my God. Now I do.
Now that you've reminded us. Thank you so much, Tim and Audrey, for your time. And those are really great advice on how to deal with criticism. Yeah.
And cute kids, my God. Such cute kids.
Yeah. and yeah, I like what you said. Just don't criticize, because it's a lose-lose situation. Like, there's no point in criticizing someone, right?